Well, good morning, everyone. Welcome to our webinar today. Super excited. We're going to have a great webinar for you. This is going to be a great chance, a little bit something different we're doing today, where we're going to learn a little bit about someone who's grown their business. We're going to share some ideas with you. We'd love for you to participate as well, asking questions, giving your comments. But this is really one where we're going to talk about how to take your business to the next level, and how one person did it here, and again, maybe how you've done it. You could share some ideas with us. We're going to talk with Jenna. This is Jenna Stearns from Beyond Laser Creations. We're going to talk to her in just a moment. But first, we're going to do a little bit of housekeeping. We've always got to do that in the front of our webinars here. If you're seeing me talking but you can't hear, try and hang up on your computer, either restart the program, or you can dial into the number. There should be a dial-in number there under the audio section. So if you're having trouble hearing, give that a shot. Use your phone. Sometimes that works out. Or just restart the webinar and jump back in. If you are joining us today on either an iPad or an iPhone or an Android phone or tablet, you should be able to adjust the screen size left and right. So if you want to make this a little bigger, we're not going to be jumping back and forth to other cameras like we've done in our other webinars. So shouldn't have to worry about flipping between cameras. But if you want to make this a little bigger, there's a little adjustment on the left and right hand side to do that. You can also flip it in landscape mode, will help you a little bit as well. We've got a couple poll questions that we want to do first before we jump into our content with Jenna. So let's, if we can, fire up our first poll question, which is, how long have you been doing personalization for? So are you doing less than a year, 1 to 3 years, 4 to 7 years, or 8 or more? So if you wouldn't mind just giving us an answer there, we'll take a look and see. We've got some, okay, so less than a year. We've got some people 1 to 3 years. We've got some veterans with us. Outstanding. We hope that you'll share some comments with us as we go on today and kind of interact. We really want this to be as much of an interactive webinar as possible. So your comments, your questions, we'd love to have those as we're talking with Jenna. We get going here. And that was our first poll question. So let's take a look at our second one. So this is one we want to know. In the last 12 months, so between today and last March, how many webinars have you attended? Is this your first one? Have you done some other ones? I know we've held about 35 webinars in the last 12 months. So just curious to see who's been coming to the webinars. Looks like we've got some people first time. Well, welcome. We hope you find this interesting and entertaining. We're going to do our best.
I told you I stacked the deck.
So we're going to get a lot of positive comments for Jenna. I may just step out. Jenna, you got? No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. So welcome. We've got some people who've been to our webinars before. And again, a little bit of a unique content today. So typically we're doing product demos and equipment demos and showing you how-tos. But today we're going to talk about the business side of small business. I hate to call it small business because if you're working in it, sometimes it doesn't feel that small.
It doesn't feel small at all.
But let me formally introduce my guest today, and we appreciate her coming by. This is Jenna Stearns. She is the owner, proprietor, do-it-all person of Beyond Laser Creations over in Fostoria, Ohio,
Yep.
Correct?
Yeah.
So Jenna is joining us today, and we're going to talk a little bit about how Jenna got her business started, some of the things she encountered along the way, and just kind of, again, sharing. So again, use that question. You'll see on the right-hand side, I believe, of your screen, it's a little questions button. So if you could ask the questions in there, that would be great. And we'll get started. But first, Jenna, can you tell us a little bit about you and your business? Kind of give us the overview of why you're sitting in the chair today.
I feel like this is the hot seat. So when everything shut down in 2020, a lot of makers, I believe I'm not alone, was, kind of looking for a way to still be creative and still kind of be, in the community as much as possible. So we all started either with machines that were foreign to us, or how could we, help out the pandemic. So I started sewing face masks, and we were cutting them all by hand and just posting them on Facebook, and kind of local businesses that needed them to get them back up and running. They would contact us and say, we needed 100, 150 by tomorrow, or we can't open our doors. So of course we were up for the challenge, and we had nothing else to do. So we made about 1,000 face masks, and then I realized I need something to cut this faster. So I found a laser, and I was able to cut, you know, an inch thick of fabric and make 50 at a time. So we kind of just had an assembly line going where we would have 3 sewing machines, and we just pumped them out as fast as possible. So after making about 5,000 masks, I'm like, well, what else can this thing do? So we decided to, I don't know why I say we, it's me and my crazy ideas and whoever else I recruited. So it's not like I didn't have a team, I do now. But in the beginning, you do feel alone, but for some reason, we always say we. But anyway, so we made about 5,000 masks, decided that we wanted to take this thing further and explore, you know, so many more material options. And I really wasn't afraid to try anything new. It was either, you know, a really good epic thing that we produced, or it was a fail and you throw it away. So, I mean, it happens every day and it still happens. So we just really seen that it was taking off, and I knew that this could become something more as things started to open back up and farmers markets started to open. I did my first farmers market by the seat of my pants, really, and it was a huge success. So then I really started looking into it more. Like, I really think that this could be something bigger.
So you started with the face mask, but you were you doing maker type of projects before that? And what were you kind of doing? And what was your job?
Oh, no, not at all. Like way back, I have a bachelor's in criminal justice.
Okay.
And then once we started a family, I worked in insurance. So
Okay.
I was in an office setting for the last 15 years. And, you know, I've always been super creative. I had a photography business that entire 15 years. So I really did have a lot of creativity. But then when everything shut down, it was like, I still need to create and I still need to make. So I think it just spiraled out of the need to create.
So I think there's probably a lot of you out there watching today or joining us on the webinar probably felt exactly the same way. You needed to do something. Plus, we were all kind of stuck at home. It's hard to believe that was 2 years ago, almost this week.
I know, yes.
So you started making face masks. Was there a point that you got to where you said, okay, I'm making these face masks, we've got this laser, this could be something more than just I don't want to say flash in the pan, but something that we're doing right now and then it's going to go away, where you felt like this might be a little bit more than just masks?
Yeah, I think the results from our first farmers market, and when I say like we flew by the seat of our pants, I had 2 weeks to prep an entire booth of product, and we really used the entire 2 weeks. I mean, up until the very last day, we were crunching. And the response and feedback of everybody at the farmers market was just overwhelming. It was very, very positive, and it was different from what everybody else was creating. So I think from the requests that we got in, from the feedback, I took a chance and decided, you know, this is really where I need to be.
So what were the items that you saw that were generating that interest at the farmers market?
Yeah, so even 2 years ago and still today, I find that my biggest seller is like the wooden round door signs.
Okay. Mm-hmm. Okay, so something we don't have, but like
something similar.
Okay. Yeah, you can grab that, sure.
I mean, obviously this is a sublimation, and with my door signs, I use all kinds of materials. So I do use sublimation on it. Obviously I cut with my laser. We have gotten into the kind of like a bulk mass production type of setting where we have to produce our rounds in large quantities.
Sure.
So most of the sublimation stuff that I use would be for like the tops, the decorations on top.
Okay. So was that something that was just interesting to you and you thought, oh, okay, I kind of like, watch our easels. Our easels they're a trap. You got it.
Trapped.
You got it. Okay, good. Nobody touched that. We're not allowed to touch that for the rest of the time.
Got it.
Just don't even look at it.
I won't.
Just pretend it's not even there. So let's talk a little bit about those rounds. Was that just something you were interested in? You saw that on a website, or just it was just kind of something that you?
I always kind of watch the trends, but and when I say I watch the trends, it's nothing fancy. I literally TikTok a lot, and I just, when we were creating them, they were very easy to be different each time. So a different font, a different color, a different request of either hi, hello, welcome, or just the last names. And it was a piece that could be so versatile. It could be something for decoration for a season. It could be a gift, a lot of wedding gifts and anniversary gifts, things like that. It was so versatile that you could use one product in so many different areas. So that's really the way that I went initially, and it still continues to be one of my biggest sellers.
Oh, I think we've got a couple questions here, or at least a question.
We do
Grace.
have a question. The audience wants to know, what laser were you using, or what did you start out with?
Okay, so I am currently on my third laser. Initially, because it was a great stepping stone, I purchased the Glowforge Pro. And that was very good to learn. It was very good to kind of get your settings down, but I quickly realized how fast I was going to grow, and it just wasn't going to keep up with where I was going. So I ordered a Eon laser. It was a Mira 9, and I got that December of 2020, and realized, okay, I need 2 of these. So I upgraded again and have a Nova 14, which is also an Eon laser. So I currently have 2 lasers, a Mira 9 and a Nova 14.
So that's a great question. I just had an idea, or another question I'd like to ask on top of that. So you started with the Glowforge, you went to the Eon lasers. Was there a point where you realized that I'm gonna have to make an investment in this business to grow it, that this is kind of, I want to make this a full-time job? And what did that feel like? Was there anxiety there?
Oh,
or?
yeah, it was definitely a risk. One, because I realized, how much I love doing this. So we had the discussion, I had the discussion with my husband, like, is this something that you would support me in quitting my job? And that it was terrifying. And it's not comfortable for me to, have that unknown. So when he said 100%, this is where you are truly happy, you're truly creating something that other people love. He's seen the market for it. So yes, it was, even today, I get scared, all the world is so crazy. It's like all these pressures and all these increased prices. As a small business owner, you are 100% affected by all that. So it's very, very scary, but just trust in the process, and also, read your market, read your customers, and they'll tell you exactly where you should be.
It's literally the ultimate leap of faith. I mean, that is jumping into the unknown.
Yeah, it was scary.
And again, I think there's probably a lot of folks out there who are either have been through that and done that, like Jenna has, or you're kind of on that fence and you might, want to make that jump. And Jenna made it through okay.
I don't know if I'm okay, but
well,
I'm pretty bold, and I do take chances a lot, but it really truly paid off, and I do have a great support system.
Grace, we got another question.
We do. Where do you get your sublimation sheet, or are you cutting your own rounds, or where are you buying them pre-cut?
So I cut my own rounds. We use 3/8 inch plywood. I make those. I say my husband. I can't be trusted with power tools. So we do make those, and I do ship them all over, because I also got to a point where, I was seeing the shortages in stores, and, with these rounds that all of us makers are using, I was like, well, I can produce these for myself, but then I can also ship them all over to people that may not have the tools or the space to do this. But then sublimation, I typically buy the sheets, the stock sheets from here, JPP, and then I cut them down in the laser to whatever I need. So it might be an ornament shape, or I make a lot of Bitmojis with this. So I take a Bitmoji, I sublimate, and then I can laser cut that. So I do get all of the stock sheets here. Christmas time, I believe I do buy the blanks a lot from here, just because it's so, time consuming to do all of my own, and that way I just have a stockpile.
So you said something there, and I want to kind of follow up a little bit on that, where you said you ship all over. So when you started getting out of the face masks and doing more of the wood rounds, you were going to farmers market. Can you tell me a little bit about that process of how you decided to go outbound, and like what tools did you use, and how did you promote your business?
Yeah, so where my business is actually located is very, very small city, very small rural area. And I'm reaching all these people and they're loving it, but I knew that if you can ship your product, they're gonna love it too. So if promoting it on social media, promoting it on my own website, which I know we have a question coming up about the platform of that. I just knew that it's not just here, it can be bigger. So you can ship all over. I have a map of all the states that I color in just because it's exciting and rewarding. But you're only limited by your own imagination. So if you really put your mind to it, you can find a way. But it's also exciting and nerve-wracking of finding a shipping and finding a platform to ship from. You know, I can't run to the post office every single day. We live in a rural area. So to do that all from my garage, I had to set up a shipping area, and I had to get, you know, a printer for shipping and supplies, and, you know, to have all that on hand, it's another investment, but it's something that is going to streamline that process and make your life easier.
I think that's a really good point, because there's the investment in making the products
Yeah.
like you're doing, but there's also all those other things on the back end. Like you said, the printing labels and setting up the shipping. And one of the great things about social media now is that as a small business owner or somebody trying to get started, you have a way to promote your products to such a wide audience that wasn't available even 10 years ago.
Right. Yep.
But you've got to make that investment too. You've got to, again, that's a little bit of a leap of faith where you got to invest in that infrastructure in the back end.
Yeah.
And I know we had a question about websites, so can you tell us a little bit about
Yeah,
what you're
so
doing there?
the platform that I use for my website is Shopify. I have a basic, whatever subscription for that. And I find that it is easiest to keep all of your accounting all together. You can keep your inventory there, you can keep all of your sales reports there, and it's your website too. So then you can get your analytics from that. You can, I mean, you can add in apps for anything that you want. So you can add in that shipping app, that booking the calendar app. You could, you know, because we do workshops and classes at our storefront. So, you know, you can have all that in one space, where a lot of times Etsy, you know, that's just your online storefront, that's your e-commerce. So it's not all of the things. I find that Shopify was the best one for me. I still continue to love it, and all the apps that integrate it just make the website easier and better.
Well, and that's a great point too. And, you know, we're in the middle of tax season.
Yeah.
You know, me, I'm complaining about taxes, and I've just got W-2s, some basic deductions and that sort of thing. What was that like, you know, really going from just making some stuff on the side, and now this is your business? That's probably a whole nother area you've got to think about, correct?
Right. In the past, I mean, I've had my photography business, but a lot of that was, you know, your equipment one time, and then basically after that, it's a service. So this business was completely different. And now I have, you know, your equipment, but then you have supplies, and you have your education, and then you have your subscriptions. It's a nightmare to keep it all together. I did hire an accountant because it was like, you know, just somebody to fall back on, somebody to talk over all of these things. And, you know, is this an expense, or is this not? And, you know, I use QuickBooks for that.
Okay.
So she can log in, I can log in, we can talk about, you know, different transactions. But yes, I definitely had to hire an accountant to take care of all that.
What was that? Was there a tipping point for you when you had to make that decision to go ahead and hire an accountant and make that kind of a decision to invest in your business?
Yeah, and I always tell people, like, I just want to make things. If you can come and record it for TikTok, if you can come and record it for, you know, different places that I am an affiliate, it's like, I just want to make stuff. So if you can handle all that, that would be great. Because the more time that I have to create, and the more time that I can get out my orders and products, that's going to be better for my customers and better for my business. So if you can hire out what you don't want to do, it's going to make life easier. And I also had a house cleaner for that. There was a tipping point for that too. Ask my family.
So yeah, and that's a great point, because it becomes a whole,
Yeah.
when you're making this investment in a small business, it kind of becomes a family thing, doesn't it?
Oh yeah,
mean,
it definitely is a family thing with us. My mother-in-law has retired and works for me. My mom is retiring this month and works for me. My dad is retired and also wants to retire from a project that I put him on recently. So it is a family thing. My kids are involved in it. my 9-year-old goes to school daily and tells her teachers what I have for sale this week, you know, so she definitely, it is a family investment. I mean, but you know what, like it's amazing for that support too, because you're not just coming home from work and spewing all this stuff. They know your orders are stacking up. They know that you're going to be, you know, in the shop a little bit longer tonight, but then they come out and they start helping and they realize, okay, mom's really got some orders going on and I need to help because there's no other choice for me.
I feel like this may have been a way for you to just be mom boss. Is that where you went? Like,
Yeah.
like now all of you, you're all tied to me. Let's
Yeah.
get this done. And
Yeah.
Is that what?
But I do have a teenage daughter that really picks up a lot of the slack too. She cooks a lot, she cleans up a lot. So I am extremely grateful for the things, you know, that she does that's not directly related to the business, but yet it is a family unit and it has to be, because when I grew so quickly, they realized like, oh my God, if I'm not on board, I'm getting left behind.
So other than your 9-year-old shilling products at school and trying to pitch stuff to the teachers, you use social media to get the word out. Was there anything else that you did to kind of promote your business and I mean, other than the farmers markets?
Yeah, farmers markets were huge for me
Okay.
in my area. Obviously that's your local business though. So like I always try to put, you know, I don't want to put all my eggs in one basket necessarily, but you're hitting so many different territories that if, you know, your farmers markets are local, then if you want to pay for advertising on Etsy, that's great, but you're going to, you know, you're going to pay for that and it's a further reach. So you kind of have to weigh your risk reward. Social media is huge. Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, Snapchat, I mean, everywhere. That is a whole nother beast in maintaining all that. So I do all of mine, but I would recommend if you get to a certain point that you're going to have to hire out all your social media posting, schedule it ahead. So if you want to take a day out of the week and schedule everything, that makes life easier too. I should take my own advice with that, but it's just easier. But no, I try to be everywhere. I'm on the radio, my local chamber. Being a member of your Chamber of Commerce is huge. It is a little bit of an investment, but your reward is huge. They advertise in your community, they advertise in your county, they advertise all the other businesses that are members. So, you know, now I have several commercial customers that I do their shirts, I do their hats, I do, you know, their customer gifts because of the chamber. But we won a small business competition with our chamber, so that has helped a lot. But being active in your community and wherever your customers are, be active, because then they know your name, they know your business, and they're going to support that.
That's a great point, because I think, you know, being active in your local community pays off, not only from the sales you'll get from the people in your community, but because of social media. If you're active and you're selling items to the people around you, they may post a picture on their page.
Yep.
And they might have an aunt who lives in New York or somebody who lives over in Chicago that they know. And all of a sudden now you're getting those kind of referrals as well.
Right.
So, you know, that activity, being active in your local community, it's good. I mean, it's good practice. It's good business practice.
Yeah, it does. It really feels good to help the community that is helping you. I do a lot of fundraising for, we did a fundraiser for my son's baseball team last year. We're doing a fundraiser now for our high school band. So with your business being, you know, so flexible, you can set prices for them to make money, for you to still make money, but it's very good to help out.
I think that's a key too, because I think people get afraid. They hear the word fundraiser
Mm-hmm.
and you're like, oh God, I'm not going to make any money on this. And but that's not the case. You can still make a little profit on that.
Yep.
The organization makes some profit. You get your name out there. Fundraising can absolutely be a win-win for small businesses.
You hit so many different people that may not typically walk through your door on an everyday basis.
Right. Grace, we've got a question.
Yes, Jenna, can you briefly touch on all the technologies that you currently do?
Well,
All right, I'm gonna go get a drink. No.
it's maybe a long one. No, so I started with lasers, the CO2 lasers, and then from there I just grew with the size of the laser. I didn't necessarily reach out into a fiber laser or anything yet, so I still just have 2 CO2 lasers, and then I added sublimation, which I have the Epson 570. And then I added the white toner heat transfer, which I have the Oki 8432. And then I added commercial embroidery machines. I have ZSK Sprint 6. I have 2 of those. Oh, I have a sticker printer. That is the iColor 250. What else do I have?
I'm just thinking what's in your shop.
Okay, oh, I have a Geonite heat press. I have the 16 by 20. What else do I have?
That's not-
I have
I
a
mean-
Cricut. I don't know how to use that. Give me a laser and let's burn some stuff, but I don't know. The Cricut thing is just like too much for me right now.
So that was a great question, because that's going to segue into my next question for you. All of this fits in a little craft room, correct?
No, it exploded, the craft.
I was going to say, how did you expand
Yeah.
your space? Because clearly that's not all fitting
Right.
where you were cutting face masks.
Right. So this is where my family really was like, get on board or move out of the way. I had an office in my house. It's just a standard, I think it's maybe like a 12 by 13 room. And I had my Glowforge in there and I had my computer in there. And then all the supplies started to spill out and, you know, your toolbox is exploding. And then I moved to the garage when my bigger laser came. My Mira 9 came, so we moved it out to the garage, which then we had to install heating and air conditioning. And then my 2-car garage became now my entire office. And then we moved into a storefront. In November, we moved into a storefront that is just temporary, which we are now moving into our permanent space, which will be open April 1st. I said it,
Wow.
that means it's official. Oh my God, I'm
We've got it on record now.
Yeah,
So
oh, I bumped the thing.
yeah, well, we knew it was going to happen.
So April 1st will be in our permanent spot where all of our machines, except for the Nova 14, because that is a beast and cannot fit through the window or the door. So that one has to stay in the garage. So I will have a workspace in a storefront with all the machines so you can get on the spot custom engraving or your, you know, custom personalization right there. And then also we'll have our garage yet. But my husband will have his barn back.
I wanted to make a quick note and say, since you said April 1st, you can always fall back on it with an April Fool's joke.
Oh, yes, thank you. I have that prepared now. Thank you for the fallback.
You guys scheming and scamming. So what you had to make, there's a bit of an infrastructure investment that you had to make there. Again, what was that decision process like?
Yeah,
Was it-
that was terrifying as well. You know, when we went to look at a space, you have to, you know, right off the bat, rent, utilities,
Right.
you know, you have to say, are my sales really going to be able to support this and what's the payoff? And at that time, we realized like, oh yes, we can definitely get into a space and make this worth it, because not only are you going to increase your work production because of a better flow and a better work area, but then you can hire on people to, you know, duplicate yourself. So I think moving into a storefront was huge for us, and because we do workshops and DIY projects, it has allowed that space too. So that's a whole nother set of, you know, stream of income there.
So you've gone from face masks in a hobby room to the garage to now a retail space, April 1st.
It has to happen. My husband told me it would.
So I'm going to ask you, go back a little bit to the product part of it. How do you try to stay on top of, and you touched a little bit on what your customers are looking for.
Yep.
And what the new trendy products are?
A lot of times I listen to my customers. That's, you know, the main thing. When I was growing into the commercial promotional world, they were asking, well, you know, I like your print, but could you do embroidery? I'm like, yes, I will look into it for you. And then going down that route, I really felt that I could keep those machines full, and I really had those customers that I could sell to. So I went down that route and invested a lot into that, which is a learning curve in itself. But I feel like your customers are going to tell you exactly what they want, and they're going to show you an example of what they found on the internet or Etsy, and you really just have to, you know, decide, this one customer wants it, but how many other customers can I sell to in that way? And is it an investment?
I think you touched on something that's really important, that for those of you who have a small business or have grown like Jenna has, you have the ability as a small business owner to react to what your customers want. You know, some of these larger businesses, it'll take them 6 months to figure out something. You could have it in 6 days
Yeah.
if you see something. So that's something that you should take advantage of as a small business. You know, talk to your customers, find out, like Jenna said, find out what they want, find out what they're looking for, and make those reactions. And sometimes it's only a small investment. Maybe you make a couple pieces, somebody brings you an idea, and then, oh yeah, we like that, or it didn't really work out as well as I wanted.
There have been times that somebody brings me something, I'm like, listen, I do not have the technology to do this. I can offer you something very similar. I can offer you this, this, or this. But then I also reach out to you guys in the fab shop and say, listen, I have a customer that needs this and I can't cut aluminum blanks. Can you help me out? And, you know, here's the size that I need. And I've done that with a customer. It was a commercial customer, needed a very specific size of a blank, and one, you didn't have that size. And I can't cut the metal, so, and I don't want to go down that route. So I, you know, contacted the fab shop and you guys had it, and I was able to sublimate that on it.
So I want this to be about you, but I'll do a little shill here for us real quick. What Jen is talking about is our fabrication services that we offer here at Johnson Plastics Plus. It is meant for businesses to come to us. If you can't, like Jenna said, she had a project that she couldn't cut those blanks on the metal. We can do that for you and then give the blanks to you or to Jen or whoever, and then you finish the project and get it off to your customers. So we're not looking to make finished stuff here, but we'll help you with the blanks and that sort of thing.
Yep.
Grace, we got a question.
So I think you kind of already answered this, but do you have customers that come in on site with maybe like a drinkware item that they want you to personalize with your equipment?
Yes, I do know that I am a little bit different in that area than maybe some of my other local competitors. Yeah, if you bring me a brand of drinkware that you absolutely have to have, then I will personalize it for you with whatever technology that we're using. I would recommend, and I also need to take my own advice on this, I would recommend that you have them sign off like, hey, this is the best that I can do. You know, these are the best technologies. I know what I'm doing, but things happen. I have purchased a Yeti before because I screwed it up, but you know what? That customer was like, hey, you didn't have to do that. I understand, but it was just good practice that you should really make sure that you know what you're doing to be able to take somebody else's things that you can't replace. But yeah, I do that.
Yeah, and I know there's probably a bunch of folks out there have seen people come into their shops with some odd items, one-off, personal heirlooms. And, oh, yeah.
I really get very, very nervous,
Right.
but I'm also a risk taker. So.
Because some of that stuff's not replaceable. So
No.
I think that's a very great point. That's a great point that you brought up. Make sure that they sign at least an acknowledgement that I know what I'm doing. I'm going to do the best I can, but you're right. Sometimes stuff just happens.
Yep. Technology is great when it works, but we call Aaron when it doesn't.
And she's talking to Aaron here at our shop, at Johnson Plastics Plus, who's one of our technical experts, and he'll be able to help you. And again, half a little shill for JPP. We've got a great team behind the scenes here that will help you with any of the technology you buy from our company. So we talked about finding the next thing. For you in your shop, is there any technology you're eyeing to look? I'm sure you're probably always like, oh, I want that, I want that, I want that. But how do you, okay.
Being in this showroom is like a kid at Christmas.
But how do you decide what you're going to make that investment in next? Because I'm sure it's easy to kind of get out of control a little bit.
Yes, the equipment team here loves bringing me in this shop because they can show me all the pretty things. But no, I really just look for the customer, look on Etsy, look on Google Trends, and kind of see, you know, what's the market for this. You know, that's how I invested in the iColor 250, the sticker printer. I wanted an all-in-one sticker printer and cutter. I didn't want to mess around with registration marks and everything else. So I invested in that because I knew there was a market in just fun stickers, seasonal stickers, trendy stickers, whether it be on the political front or not. It just made sense to me that I could go down the commercial route of labels. I could print my own, you know, cute little packaging labels. I could print my little packaging gifts. I could print for other businesses. I work with another local maker that her business is completely different than mine, but she puts my sticker of her logo on the bottom of her products and everyone goes out. So I think there was just a little bit of research done, like, yep, I can make this work. And again, I took a leap.
You know, you mentioned that you're a risk taker, and we talked about having customers sign a release. I'm going to ask you a weird question here, but are there projects you turn down? And I see, I guess I know she's going to say no because I don't say no, but or is there a project you can envision saying no to just because you don't feel comfortable with it, or?
There should have been a lot of no's, but instead there were a lot of sleepless nights.
Okay.
Really, truly, I do need to get better at that in saying no. And also, you know, what's the demand? If I take on this project, what is going to lose some of my attention? I recently did a very, very large project, and we said we're either going to not take on anything this big, or we're not going to take on anything this or smaller than this ever again. You know, did we learn a lot? Yes. We learned logistics, we learned labor, we learned supplies. It was huge. However, it taught us so much along the way that I believe it set us up better for the future to say no to some things, or, you know, make sure that the timing is right for those jobs.
Right. And I ask that because I know that's a struggle for a lot of small businesses. Somebody comes in your door with a project and you want to take it on. And there's that kind of, you have to do that balancing act, like how much of my time is this going to absorb versus what the return is going to be. And that's a hard thing. It's a hard thing for anybody to say no to anything.
Yeah.
So I think being realistic with your capabilities and understanding what kind of support system you've got and what your equipment can handle.
And also, like, I find friends in the same industry. I have a couple local. I have a couple that Johnson Plastic Plus has set me up with, and we kind of bounce things off of each other. If I could help him, if he could help me, you know, just run questions by. Or if it's a material that you don't work with, I send stuff to my friend that does metal all the time. And it's something, you know, hey, I can't do it, but I have a great recommendation of somebody that I trust that can do it. So set up your network of other makers. This is not a competition. There is enough work for everybody. There's more than enough. There is plenty of work to go around. So stop looking at people as your competition, but as your coworkers, as your friends, because it's going to make your life a lot easier.
And I think that's another great point because that builds a lot of trust with your customers. If you're honest with them and say, I don't know that I can do this, but I know some people who can, or like you said earlier, I can't do it exactly like this, but I've got this, this, and this that maybe can get you to the same result.
Yeah.
That goes such a long way with building that customer rapport. Grace, we've got another question.
Yes. So at any point along your journey, did you get discouraged? And what did you do about that?
I'm a very impatient person, so I really truly feel that most of my things that, you know, were discouraging were just things out of my control. The timing of my building, the timing of construction, the timing of supplies not getting, you know, but really you just have to be prepared for those disappointments. You know, is it going to derail your whole plan? No. And you have to focus on what the end goal is. You have to maintain a little bit of composure at times, even though when my husband hears that, he's going to laugh because I don't. However, you should. But no, seriously, you really just have to be prepared. And if you're prepared to pivot, then, you know, it's going to go a lot smoother. When my building wasn't ready, when we initially thought it was supposed to be done by Thanksgiving, so it wasn't. And as all of you makers know, your holiday season, if you prepared for it to be in front of people instead of just online, and they say, hey, listen, your building's not going to be ready, I'm really sorry, but it's this, this, and this. I had to pivot and I had to find my own way to still be in front of them. So I rented a temporary space, but you just have to be prepared, and then this letdown or the discouragement isn't as bad.
You know, I'm sure that's a struggle that probably a lot of folks have had. You're a creative type. I know I like to fancy myself being creative sometimes. I know we've got some other creative folks here, Grace. And when you're creative, you see the end product in your head and you want to get there.
Yeah.
And sometimes there's those bumps along the way and some things that come up that you can't get there as quickly as you want. And it's just having that patience and kind of that taking that breath, you know, and kind of resetting yourself. You'll get there. Sometimes you just got to take that.
People just keep telling me in time,
Right.
in time. I'm like, well, I'm very impatient. So
yeah.
Yeah.
I know video projects here at Johnson Plastics Plus, we shoot them and I know exactly what it's going to look like at the
Yeah.
end. I've got to take the time and get the edits and something else comes up and blah,
Right.
blah, blah. So yeah, totally understand. Grace, we have another question.
That's a good segue.
Aha,
We
yeah.
got a question of
Segue,
what
all right.
creative programs do you use if you're designing
Oh, yeah.
something, or how do you kind of work through that?
I use Lightburn for all of my software that runs my lasers. Glowforge has their own interface. So when I did have my Glowforge, I obviously used that because, again, I was learning. And then at that time too, I used Inkscape, which was a free tool. But I quickly realized that I needed more. So I subscribed to Adobe and I use Adobe Illustrator. Photoshop I use a lot because that's where I was comfortable with the photography business. So I really flip a lot between Photoshop and Illustrator. But then Lightburn is my main thing where I'm in every day.
And are you, well, you talked about the photography business and Photoshop. Are you self-trained in those or did you take
Oh, yeah.
class? Okay.
Yep. I
So
have a bachelor's in criminal justice.
that's right. You did say that. I didn't.
Yeah, YouTube is my friend, networking, but even still, what is it, Monday today? So Wednesday, I am doing another personal development thing where I'm taking a class on website and social media. Do I think I need it? I don't know, we'll see. But you know what, there is always time for personal development. Things like this. This helps me more than what you guys know because it's, you know, putting all that stuff out there of what you should do and what you're telling everybody to do, but maybe you should focus a little bit too. But there's always room for personal development and YouTube, and, you know, I'm in a Illustrator class right now online, and it's just anything that I can do to learn along the way that's not related to creating the product, but yet it's going to help make everything easier.
That's such a great point because we've talked a lot about investing in the business and an accountant and equipment and space and all that, but you really have to invest in yourself too to kind of continue that personal growth to help your business.
Yeah.
And, you know, like you said, maybe you're going to take this class and maybe you know 80% of it, but if you pick up one little thing that you can use down the road.
I also
It's probably
took
worth
a program that was also sponsored by our local chamber, and it was called Co-Starters Program. It's a nationwide company, so I don't know if, obviously there's, I don't know, I can't read 49 people on this, and you're not all from here, but Co-Starters is a program that is a 10-week thing where they take your business step by step. They take your idea and help you formulate what your plan is to see if it's a viable business. And when that came across my email, I'm like, oh God, I'm already like a year and a half into this. I don't know if I really need this, but I truly propelled my business forward by taking that class, and it just really solidified everything for me to realize this is a real business. I can make money at this, and not only can I make money at it, but I can quit my full-time job and be okay.
Did you create a formal business plan then from kind of that information?
With that class,
Okay.
at the very end, they help you do that. So which led me, after that class, it led me into a business competition where I had to have a business plan and pitch it to 7 members of our community that were very judgmental on every piece of it. But you have to explain yourself and you have to be ready to defend what you say that you're going to do. And they dissect it.
But that was probably invaluable.
It was
right?
awesome.
You know, it's a lot of folks, again, and maybe you're watching and you've grown your business or you're just starting, but I think it's really important to make at least some sort of a plan and have an idea of where you're going moving forward, because you'll just kind of, you'll run to a spot and look around, oh, this is where I want to be. And you'll spend time and energy and resources doing that. So I think that's a great point to kind of work through that business plan and find somebody that you can bounce that off of too.
And there are a lot of models online all over, but definitely, you know, research of what kind of thing you want to plug and chug into. So plug in all of your ideas and plug in all your numbers and see what you get out of it. And then, you know, don't get stuck right there. You can move pieces around, you can change pieces, but, you know, make sure that you read it as a whole to make sure that it makes sense and it's viable for you.
So I know we're coming up close to the end of our webinar here. If you've got any last minute questions, fire those away. We'll get to those here. But I wanted to ask you the big question. So here's, you didn't know there was a big question, didn't you?
Yes, the answer is yes.
The answer is yes?
Yes, I will accept a position. No, I'm just kidding. I don't have time for that. I'm kidding.
What would be maybe one, I'll even let you sneak in, 2 pieces of advice you would give to someone or even to yourself 2 years ago when you were cutting the face mask and now you want to grow that business, what's the big thing?
I would say the big thing is believe in yourself. Do not get hung up on things that fail. Before any bit of this, we had, a plan that didn't work out, and it doesn't mean it's the end. This business is yours. You're creative to be in this business. Now get creative to make the business work for you. Don't settle. There's no limit. There is seriously no limit to what you can do with any of these machines that all of us makers have. Your creativity can take you anywhere you want to go.
Wow. That's really good advice.
I know.
I like that. I got a little bit clumped there. I was like,
I
I
know.
felt like we should have music behind that or something.
Like an award, like flowers.
But
Confetti.
that's really good advice because, again, the great thing about being a small to mid-sized business is the ability to pivot, the ability to react. As long as you have a plan and faith in yourself and kind of driving forward, you can go from face masks to the
Anything.
hundreds of things that you
Yeah,
offer.
anything.
Right. Any last questions, Grace? Are we good? Oh, she's getting out of her chair. This means we've
I
got
see a
music.
lot of questions on there. Is there a place that I can answer them after all this?
Yeah, we can get you a report afterwards if you want to do it that way.
Sure.
The one question that piqued my interest was, do you think it's better to sell like a set standard amount of items or open it up so that you're just doing kind of like whatever?
I still feel, yeah, that's a great question. I still feel that being 2 years into this, I'm kind of like still exploring where my niche is. But is it niche or niche?
Whatever you want to go with.
I'm going to go with
Niche.
niche. Anyways, find where you're comfortable at, but don't stay there. Don't get so comfortable that it becomes boring or complacent, but definitely go down where you can pump out those, signs every day and still be productive, but yet go outside of the box a little bit and keep going, because with the, combination of all these machines, you're not going to be able to just sell one thing.
Right.
Definitely not.
So you want to keep stretching yourself,
Yeah.
little bit at a time, not maybe go full bore, but
Yeah.
push yourself a
And
little bit.
I think that my website through Shopify helps keep things organized because it has the ability to set your products in collections. So I have drinkware, kitchen gifts, spring items, Valentine's items. So even though your head may be, exploding with all these different items, kind of group them and categorize them in a way that your customers can find them and you don't look scatterbrained like me.
Scatterbrained. You're far from scatterbrained. You have the
Thank you.
creative head. We've all been. We know how that works. Was that the give? Okay, Grace is doing this, which means it's
Spirit
giveaway.
fingers.
Yeah, spirit fingers means it's giveaway time. And if you saw the invitation for the webinar and you signed up, if you're still with us, we're going to give away 2 gift packs. Now, these gift packs are some of the items and some of Jenna's favorite stuff that we offer here at JPP. So we're going to choose. Did we choose 2 people at random? Are we choosing them after the fact? Or yeah, we're going to pick a couple folks here. So 2 people are going to win gift packs, and it'll be based on your technology. So we're going to make sure you get items that you can use in your shop. So if you're not using a laser, you're using sublimation or heat transfer, we'll make sure you get some gifts for that, and vice versa. So,
All right, I have our 2 winners.
okay, 2 winners.
We have, I hope I said this right, Carla McKee
Carla McKee
and Robert Berry.
and Robert Berry. Congratulations to both of you. We will reach out to you. So we'll get you an email. We'll find out what you're interested in. We'll send you a couple gift packs. Again, some of the things that Jenna likes to work with
Sorry,
here.
I was trying to read through all those.
Oh yeah, it was a
Somebody
busy
said,
day.
where can you find me? Can I tell them?
Sure, yeah.
Oh my gosh, you can find me at beyondlasercreations.com. That is my website. And then anywhere on social media at Beyond Laser Creations. So on TikTok, I'm pretty silly on TikTok, Beyond Laser Creations. And Facebook is also Beyond Laser Creations.
And I just want to mention too that we will have a recording that goes out within 24 to 48 hours of this. So if you came in a little bit late, no worries. And we'll also have Jenna's social media information. So if you want to give her a follow, we'll make it nice and easy to do that.
Yes, and we'll put that in the email as well.
Yeah, I'm constantly in a lot of the Facebook groups that a lot of us are in. I'm in a ton of them. I am very active in them too, because I learn from you guys, and being being that social butterfly that I am in real life, I'm also like that on social media. So please do not feel like you're bugging me.
And I think that's a great kind of segue to get towards the end of our webinar here, but share with each other,
Yeah.
right? I think that's why we had Jenna come in today, and we appreciate your time and sharing with us. And I hope that everybody out there learned something and talk to each other. It's like you said, there's enough work to go around.
There's plenty.
It's a community, and I've seen that in the social media groups, and there's a lot of people supporting and helping each other. And I think that's a great way to approach being a maker. And we appreciate you taking your time and sharing with everyone here today your experience.
I appreciate you guys. This is awesome.
This was a lot of fun. Let's do it again sometime.
Okay, sign
Okay.
me up.
Yeah, why don't you do it at 1 o'clock? No, I'm kidding.
We'll be
Well-
live on TikTok.
We will, again, have this posted to, you'll get an email with the link to the webinar so you can rewatch this with Jenna's social media information and her contact information. You can ask her any questions. And again, we thank you for joining us today, for asking your questions. It was a great time. And we'll have those 2 winners. We'll get your gifts out to you here. We'll reach out here in the next day or so. So again, Jenna, thanks so much for coming.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. And thank you, everyone else. Hope the time change didn't rattle you too much.
Yeah, I forgot about that.
Thanks for joining us today, and we'll see you again for our next webinar. Thanks. Take care.